3 AL East teams won at least 89 games last year, and the fourth place Rays still had a positive run differential. This division is gonna be brutal. But tell us in the comments who you're following in the AL East this year. Parker, I have a sneaky suspicion you're following the Red Sox this year. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm going to be watching basically like 169, probably 170-ish games, depending on how many they play.
Calm down. Calm down.
Everybody needs to like the video and subscribe if you're going to watch even a single baseball game this year. So please make sure that you're following us on all of our platforms and stuff like that. But yeah, dude, this is my division. This is the one. I don't know why I selected the order that we did when we did the previews to make this one the last one, but I have been patiently waiting for the last few weeks so that we can go ahead and do the AL East preview, prediction, whatever the heck we're calling it show, because this division, I think, is going to be maybe the most insane division in baseball.
Heck yeah, I'm right there with you. Let's go ahead and set the scene for what happened in 2025. This division had 3 playoff teams coming out of it, and spoiler alert, probably going to be another 3 coming out of it in 2026, but the AL East was led by the AL champion Blue Jays at 94 wins, 68 losses. The Yankees were in second with 94 wins as well. The Red Sox were in third with 89 wins. The Rays were in fourth, and then the Orioles, who had a very down season, were in fifth, albeit with 75 wins still. Not terrible, and we'll get into that. But Parker, you kind of said it, right? This division last year was from start to finish an absolute showdown. You still had the Rays and the Orioles putting up competitive games and had their own streaks throughout the year. If you can just tell me in a couple words what you expect out of the AL East in 2026, what is this going to be like?
4 playoff teams, I think.
Oh, 4. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Really?
Man. Yeah, tell me that there's not a team. What team would you pick outside of the division winners over who's going to be the worst of the playoff teams in this division? Is it the Blue Jays? Is it the Yankees or Orioles? The Red Sox? Like, all of those teams look poised to really, really do some damage with good lineups, good rotations. Yeah. This division's going to eat itself alive to a certain extent. And I think there's a real possibility here that every wildcard team in the American League comes out of the AL East.
I don't think you're wrong, considering what we've talked about the last couple of weeks, right? The AL Central is without a doubt the weakest division of baseball still. We have the AL West, where they could probably make the case for the second weakest, and there's a lot of question marks there with some of those teams. So you put all that together, what you're saying is not unreasonable. If we had to pick, there is a path where the Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, and Orioles all find themselves playing October baseball, and we'll get into that here shortly. But Parker, I want to start with the Blue Jays. Obviously, defending AL champs, there are some questions about some of the changes they made in the offseason. You could talk about, obviously, the core of Springer, Vladdy, Kirk, Dalton Varsho. They added a Kazuma Okamoto. But the reality is, Bo Bichette's gone, and some people may have strong feelings about that one way or the other. Anthony Santander is expected to miss most of the season. The guy can't seem to play any games in a Blue Jays uniform. And I want to start with that lineup. I mean, what do you think of the additions that they've made? Do you see this as an improvement, a neutral, or a step back offensively for the Blue Jays?
I would almost call it neutral to the expectations that were there last season, at the beginning of the season. Some of us had the Blue Jays in last place. I believe I predicted the Blue Jays to finish 5th last year. And look at them. They ended up in Game 7 of the World Series with the lead late. So, I mean, look, good for them. But I also think that was on the back of some absolutely generational hot streak performances, or maybe good season performances from a bunch of people. I don't know if Ernie Clement is the guy that we saw at the end of last season. I know George Springer. I can't say no, but I'm pretty confident George Springer found some lightning in a bottle laying around somewhere last year, and that we're not going to really see that again. The Bo Bichette loss means something. Santander, I'm not really counting them against that against them because he really didn't play much last season. When he did, he was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worked up about all of that, but I do think that there's something to be said for the fact that these Blue Jays, seemingly on paper, are worse, if not neutral. And already last year, they severely overperformed expectations. Now, the Okamoto signing, I really do like. I think Dalton Varsho's a good guy. I think Alejandro Kirk is exactly who he has been playing. And I think that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is maybe the best first baseman in all of baseball. But I just don't know if there's enough there to be excited about outside of a pretty good starting rotation, which is headlined by a guy that you're pretty close with.
Yes. I'm a big Cease guy. I love Dylan Cease. He's one of my favorite players in the sport. And this was a huge get for the Blue Jays. We've been talking about the Blue Jays for many years, just not having too many kind of steady eddies in the front of that rotation. Someone who's going to give you 30 starts and near 180, 200 innings. Now they have that guy, and they did what they did last year without a guy like that. But here's I was always a but. The but here is, great, you've added Dylan Cease. You have Kevin Gossman there. I think there's something to be said about Trey Yesevich. I think he's going to continue to exponentially grow in that rotation. I think his stuff is excellent. Beyond that, it's just a bunch of lotto tickets. And so if you're looking at it as a whole, between the rotation that has, I think, some question marks still, a lineup that maybe at best is going to be the same and maybe a little bit of a regression, the Blue Jays have a little bit of a reason to worry here. Do their fans have a reason to worry, perhaps?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the rotation too, and I mean, I love Gausman. I've always been a big Gausman guy. I think his splitter is one of the best pitches in baseball, and love Dylan Cease. But like you said, after that, it's kind of like, what's going on? Because Trey Yesevich. So I'm not surprised the projection is what it is, but I know that the sentiment around Trey Yesevich is that this guy is going to be the next world beater in a Blue Jays uniform because of his awesome performance last year in the postseason. I just don't know if that's sustainable. He's still making league minimum, and I think technically still a rookie. This is his rookie season upcoming, and weirdly enough, we have seen him pitch in Game 7 of the World Series before he's even begun his rookie campaign, which is absolutely crazy. And I love the guy. I hope he's great. But right now, Fangraphs has him projected for 2.0 WAR next season. And I think if you get 2.0 WAR from Trey Yesevich in a full season of work, you're going to count your blessings, because that is a really, really good rookie campaign for a starting pitcher who's going to be expected to go out there and probably put up close to 160 to 180 innings this year. And after that, like, I have next to no confidence in Jose Berrios, and I hope Cody Ponce, turns out to be better than he's been throughout the entire course of his big league career, which he's age 31, and we're about to see a rookie campaign from him. So I don't know. Like, I'm scared for them as an organization, because if Trey Yesevich doesn't pan out, Jose Berrios isn't better than he's projected to be, like, what does the rotation even look like? Scherzer? I don't know.
So here's I'm going to give you a little bit of a comp, and I do not mean to scare our Blue Jay fan friends. Are the 2025 Blue Jays, could they find themselves in the same situation as the 2023 Texas Rangers team?
Oh, I was just going to say the Diamondbacks. Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah. But I would even argue, I would make the case more for the Rangers,
Texas
because
Rangers are a better comp. Yeah.
Their mix of players, where their pitching was at the time, they're very similar to that. And this is where, if they don't do all the right things, develop the right players going into this year and throughout this year, it could go south really fast, much like it has for the Rangers, where they've had to kind of retool on the fly. And I would hate for that to happen to the Blue Jays, because they looked awesome last year.
Yeah, for sure. Now that you mention it, man, this is another Rangers team. Hopefully it doesn't turn out the same way that it has for the Rangers, but like, made it to the World Series, really successful run out of nowhere off the back of some really surprising pitching performances and an offensive onslaught that seemingly came out of nowhere. Nobody had Ernie Clement having the best postseason in MLB history. Nobody had that. I didn't have that. If you had it, congratulations, you must be a rich man right now. But I do think that it has so much similarity that I'm just not ready to buy 100%. And I wasn't ready to buy in last year, and I ate my words on this show. I said, wow, I'm going to be the first guy to say this Blue Jays team is legit. And I think I did it in like July because we'd been chasing them in the division the entire year. They took over for the Yankees in the first place, and they did not look back. And
yeah,
I'm still not ready to say that I'm just not 100% ready to put them in that tier of predict them to like win a division.
Wow. Okay. This is not even myself knowing how we were coming to this conversation. I didn't expect myself to feel that way about the Blue Jays, let alone the both of us. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to look up the projected standings just because I'm curious.
So as you're doing that, I do have a question for you. Last thing from me on the Blue Jays, I found this probably indicative of what we're talking about. Of the lineup 1 through 9 for the Blue Jays as projected on Fangraphs, how many players in that lineup are projected for over 3 WAR in 2026?
2, but I cheated, and one of them will not get 3 WAR. At least won't. Alejandro Kirk is not going to be a 4.9 WAR player, and if he is, it's because he's one of the better defensive catchers in baseball.
So the only lock is Vladdy Jr. That's a problem. Right. That is a problem.
Yep. No, I cheated. I sucks because that was such a good question, but I did. I noticed the same thing as we were talking about it earlier. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. What's their projection, their standing projection? Do they have that out yet? They should.
Yeah, standing projections are out. So the AL East, I'll just leave it at this. We'll go through the standing projections later when we make our rankings, when you make your rankings. The Blue Jays are projected for 86 wins, which I can see it.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, that's 86 wins in the AL East. Let's remember the context here. So
right, exactly. Like I said, these teams are going to eat each other alive.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, we'll circle back to the Blue Jays and where we think they'll fall in the standings. Let's go to the Bronx Bombers. The New York Yankees, Parker, are essentially trying to get by until all of their aces return is really what this is about. I mean, I'm going to start off being just so negative on them right now and really just shit on them. The New York Yankees need to have better off seasons. Like, they are running this thing back offensively, and that, to
literally running it back. There is not a new name in this lineup. No. The entire lineup is exactly the same as it was at the end of last year, unless you count Randall Grichuk.
If I'm a Yankee fan, I'm furious because you are 100% relying on 25 to 30 starts from the notoriously unreliable over the last couple of years, Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon. I mean, what are we doing here? Do they not see, like, read the room of the AL East? This is not a division where you can rest on your laurels for an offseason, and they've done that. So, Parker, I'm not high on the Yankees right now.
I don't know if there's anything to. I mean, left-handed power. You got Cody Bellinger, Ben Rice, Jazz Chisholm. You know, okay. Trent Grisham is going to give you 10, 12, 15 bombs. I just don't. When Giancarlo Stanton is projected as your everyday DH, and his projected WAR for the season is 0.8. I know he's the exit velo king of the world, but like. The guy can't open a bag of chips. Like, did you see that?
Literally, he told us that. That is not hyperbole. It was straight out of his mouth, guys. Like, first off, hold on. We need to address this for a second. For him to come out and say that is either endearingly honest or like absolutely dumb. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, but well, you know what he did? He made sure he's untradeable. He made sure there's no fucking way he's going anywhere else. Oh man! But hey, you know what the good news is? Here's the good news, and I think that we can give Giancarlo Stanton all the crap we want about being able to open his bags of salt and vinegar chips. But who's really going to perform this year is going to be when Jazz Chisholm puts up a 50-50 fucking season. It's over. It's going to be over for the rest.
You are absolutely killing me. The fact, okay, you know what? this is where we're
I'm
at,
not the
folks.
one making the quotes.
No,
They're the ones saying it.
I know. They're saying it, and they're absolutely blowing smoke because your point is funny. As funny as that is, the reality is they kind of need one guy to do that, and we know the one guy who's going to do it is an Aaron Judge, and if he doesn't do it, I mean, that's their lottery ticket right now. Back
I don't
up
even think Aaron
here.
Judge is a lottery ticket. I think you lock the guy in for like 7.5
Okay.
more.
Okay, sure. My bad. Yeah, you're right. Now, here's what I'll say. Let's back it up a little bit. Let me give the Yankees fans some love here. Where I think they could make this work, again, big could, is we know in the game of baseball, it is all about what? Run prevention. Okay?
Yep.
There is a scenario when you have a rotation that can stay healthy that includes a Max Fried, Cam Schlittler. We have Ryan Weathers that they acquired, at least a middling Luis Gil, joined with Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon. If those guys stay healthy, Parker, for a most or a full season, and they prevent runs, and they can just get by with a slightly above average offense, that could work.
Yeah.
Big if. Like, all the things have to go right.
One thing I was going to say is that I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to hit on the fact that if there is a strength to this Yankees team that maybe wasn't there last year, I think that the pitching depth, the starting pitching depth specifically, in the event that Rodon and Cole are healthy, they have good depth, really serviceable depth with Max Fried, Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, and like you said, the last two guys in the last two spots in that rotation are an amalgamation of Cam Schlittler, Will Warren, Ryan Weathers, and Luis Gil. All of those guys can win you a baseball game, every single one of you. And so when you start looking at that pitching depth on top of the fact that their bullpen does on paper appear to be pretty good when you have guys like David Bednar, Camilo Duvall, Tim Hill's okay, Paul Blackburn's going to be your mop-up guy, Ryan Yarbrough maybe kind of the same, but he can make spot starts. Like, there's names on this team that, I wouldn't be... Oh, I didn't even mention Clark Schmidt. He might make a return sometime around September. Who knows? Like, there's depth in the pitching department. The problem is a lot of those guys that I just listed for the bullpen are high volatility guys. Like a Camilo Doval is either the best reliever in the American League or he's not going to be very good this season. It's going to be either one. And he does have devastating stuff, and he's kind of the second coming of a Mariano Rivera type cutter guy. But like, you cannot count on crazy production from him. So what I'll ask you before I answer, what does success look like? What is a Yankee team that wins the division? What does it have to look like for them?
You cannot get behind and falter in the first 2 months of the season. Why? Because right now, Carlos Rodon is not projected to be back until late April, early May. Garrett Cole's expected to be back May or maybe early June. So Parker, with a strong AL East, they can't F up the first 2 months or they're in a hole. So this is survive for 2 months until your boys come back and then make a run for this thing. And I'm very concerned because of no other significant changes. They're not going to be able to do that. And if they really falter in their first 2 months, this is not going to be good for them.
Yeah, I can agree with you. I also think that they have this natural advantage of the fact that they have a really good left-handed lineup in Yankee Stadium. And guys like Austin Wells, Jazz Chisholm, Ben Rice, Trent Grisham, Cody Bellinger, they're going to put the ball over that right field fence. And they're going to score runs. And if they can get by those first two, could you imagine get through 3 games above 500 coming out of May, and they get both Rodon and Cole back? Like, all of a sudden, this is a pennant contending team.
Can we talk about that? I'm interested to see what Cody Bellinger's projected WAR is, honestly, because I think that is a wild card for me, if I'm being honest. It's got to be what, like where I've lost even the page. It's got to be like high. I'm at the wrong page. 3 something, probably 3.5. 3.3. Yeah, 3.3. Okay, so there is a realistic scenario, Parker, where you only get 2.5 out of him. Honestly, That would
for
be a
sure. There's a
disaster.
scenario where you get 1.7,
Yeah. Right.
and it's all
That'd be a
defensive.
disaster. I would.
I'm interested to
can't
see, did he
afford that.
rebound from his contact issues? Because he was a big, like, I'm not good at making hard contact guy. I'm going to go look it up.
I don't think he did. So if we look at his baseball savant, he
Bat
is
speed
actually
still 20th percentile, hard hit percentage 26th.
Yeah, that's not great. I mean, I'm sorry. At the end of the day, you can hit homers on the right field, short porch Yankee Stadium all you want, but that's not going to help you for 81 away games. That's not great.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I mean,
right.
all of his home runs are to right field, every single one.
Yeah,
So if there's a place to be that guy, it's definitely in Yankee Stadium.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to pause for dramatic effect. The Boston Red Sox. I know you're eager to talk about your Red Sox. Now, I am going to give you the floor after I say this one thing. This is one of those teams in my mind that could be sneaky dominant if they get some developmental years from some of their younger guys and with this fortified rotation. What do you think?
I would agree with you. I think that there's some X factors and some guys that we really need to step up in the Red Sox organization. But with normal player development happening and a bunch of other guys, I think that kind of balances itself out. This is not a team that's going to break the record for most home runs hit in a season. This is nowhere near that team. But a full season of Roman Anthony leading off, and if we get 2/3 of what we got out of Trevor Story last season in the second half of the season, and then Jarren Duran, sneaky 5-WAR player last year. If we can get that out of him every single year, that'd be great. I don't know why he's projected for 2.4 because he was a 9-WAR player and then a 5-WAR player, and now he's projected for 2.4. I mean, whatever, we'll see. The offense that Alex Bregman vacated is I think just going to be 1-for-1 swapped with Wilson Contreras. I think that the right-handed power is going to play. It may even play better than Bregman actually ended up, because if Wilson Contreras can stay healthy, I think his pull side, just line drive power, is really going to play really well. I love the addition of Caleb Durbin, but then, okay, so developmental guys we need to see take a step forward. Roman Anthony, definitely. I mean, everybody knows that. If he had played the entire season last year, he was definitely a rookie of the year kind of guy, but he didn't make his debut until June. So, and then he got hurt at the end of the year. Marcelo Meyer, I think, if he had spent the year in AAA last year, like we all kind of thought he would, rather than being called up by the Alex Bregman injury, I think we would be looking at him as a rookie of the year candidate coming into this season, assuming he breaks camp with the team. And I still think that that's the level of player he is. He's going to get some more at-bats against left-handers if he can earn them, and I'm excited to see if that works out. I think Wilyer Abreu can be a real power threat, a guy who puts up 25 to 30 home runs on a given year, and if we start to see that from him, then we're very good. Now, I do want to talk about the starting rotation before I stop running my mouth, and that is because it's where the money was invested this offseason. The only major free agent signing by this Red Sox team was Ranger Suarez. And I don't really care what the guy does in April or May or June. I just want to know what he does in August and September and October, because that's the kind of guy that he's been. He's one of those Blake Snell types. He gets better as the season goes on. He's really reliable in the postseason. We saw last year during the wild card round, we had the Garrett Crochet game, which the Red Sox won. And after that, it was Brian Bayo and it was Connolly Early. Like, we had some really inexperienced guys out there on the mound in the biggest games of the Red Sox season. And I think Ranger and the addition of Sonny Gray as well is a really good way to get some experience, some mentorship, and some just some juice behind the guys. Like, I've listened to an interview that Peyton Tolley did the other day with the Section 10 podcast, and he was talking about how Sonny Gray is one of the best baseball minds he's ever spoken to. He's always in the bullpens. He's always out there. He's like an extra pitching coach. He's got so much experience. He's been in the big moment. He's been in the AL East before. I think that the bullpen's going to be fine, but as a whole, this team, if you figure out what to do with Masataka Yoshida, And if you're able to cycle the DH spot around between guys like Jarren Duran and Roman Anthony and Wilyer Abreu and get everybody playing time and keep them happy, I think there's a young taste of the postseason vibe to this team that if everything, not everything, if a few things pan out, could win this division, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think it's out of the cards. There's two things I want to bring up that really stand out to me. Number one, I want to go back to Sonny Gray for a second. Sonny Gray doesn't get enough credit for being consistently above average. And here's what I mean by that is you look at his WAR the last couple seasons. 2023, last year with Minnesota, 5.4 WAR. Yep. 2 years after that, 24-25 with St. Louis, 3.8 WAR, 3.6 WAR. He's projected for 3.7 this year. Now I'll do it one step further. Look at his FIP, fielding independent pitching, the last 3 years, okay? We're looking at 283, 312, 339. He's projected a sub-4 ERA this year. Parker, if you have a rotation where you have a guy looking at projections like Crochet, who's given you a 5.8 WAR, Ranger Suarez giving you 3.4, and Sonny Gray giving you a slightly higher 3.7, I mean, you're cooking. I mean, that is, that's amazing if that's what you get.
One thing, when I pulled up the roster resource page, because I pull up all the teams in the division's roster resource pages every time we do these previews, and I looked at Sonny Gray and I saw that he was projected for 0.3 WAR more than Ranger Suarez, I got so excited because that's the kind of value that he brings. Genuinely, this is the kind of value he brings. And if Brayan Bello takes another step forward, who again, Brayan Bello, 27. That's how old he is, 27. And apparently over the, I don't know, man, there's a lot of rumors that he refigured out his changeup. That was the reason he was signed to this team out of the Dominican Republic in the first place. He's going to be pitching in the WBC, so he's going to be getting a good, intense playoff atmosphere work in the biggest moments for Team DR. I just think that he's also somebody that people are sleeping on. And if you think Johan Oviedo is ready to roll over and just decide to be a 5-starter, I think he has something to prove in this. His spot is not guaranteed. There's plenty of young guys gunning for his spot. There's a world where when you have a rotation headlined by Garrett Crochet, Ranger Suarez, and Sonny Gray, that this becomes, for this 1 year, the best 1-2-3 punch, maybe the best starting rotation in baseball.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
Well, who are they competing against?
You're talking about the best rotation in baseball, who they're competing against? Well, let's put the Dodgers, the Mariners, the Tigers, I think, could make that argument.
I don't think I think they beat the Tigers, I think, because I don't think Justin Verlander is going to have less than a 4.5 ERA.
So let's go look at it, because now I'm interested, because I think that Tigers, you got to remember Framber Valdez, Tarek Skubal, 6.3 Skubal projection, 3.6 Valdez, 2.5 Flaherty, 2.1 Mize, Justin Verlander 1.7. So they're probably 1-for-1 actually with the Tigers if you're looking at projected Fangraphs WAR. But
maybe top 3.
I would put them 3 to 6. 3 to 6. Yeah,
I can see that. I still think that the Mariners have a lot to prove in terms of staying healthy in their rotation.
Sure.
So I can sit here and split hairs and try to defend the Red Sox rotation. I think the fair point is that I'm high on it. I'm very excited about the starting rotation, especially if Johan Oviedo takes a couple steps forward, and Brayan Bello refigures out his arsenal. I think this is a very dangerous rotation. Not to mention guys like Connolly early made a playoff start, and he's very good, and he's a lefty. Yeah. And Peyton Tolley throws gas. And they basically took Peyton Tolley's repertoire this past offseason and cloned Garrett Crochet's repertoire and said, you're going to throw 3 fastballs. You're going to throw a sinker. You're going to throw a 4-seam. You're going to throw a cutter. And that's going to be what we do. And I love that.
In the aggregate, it could very well be one of the best pitching infrastructures in baseball by the end of the season. Now, I gave you 1 point going back to Sonny Gray. I'll give you my second. And I know this one you'll appreciate, but I have one player that I know I'm keeping my eye on, and I know you are too. Christian Campbell, folks. Don't write off Christian Campbell. He made some significant changes to his mechanics offensively. And his hands are different. His approach to the ball is different. You're seeing it in spring training. Parker, he's putting the work in. Yeah, he's putting the work in, and I think this is a guy that is a candidate for a turnaround season.
Yeah, absolutely. Christian Campbell, rookie of the month, player of the month, rookie of the month, rookie of the month last year in April. Christian Campbell's maybe my most anticipated prospect in baseball. Still, he was last year. He is this year. I think he's got a really big upside. The only problem with Christian Campbell is he's blocked by a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent in the Red Sox outfield. Okay, I am being very serious when I say I think the Red Sox have maybe the best outfield in baseball. The center fielder Gold Glove, the right fielder Gold Glove, and then a Roman Anthony and Jarren Duran tandem in left. So, there's something to be said there. Christian Campbell is probably not an infielder if we had to put a position on him. And so if he's going to be good in the big leagues, I think he needs to be an outfielder. And the problem is there's really no room for him. So what Christian Campbell's waiting on is for Trevor Story to flame out, Marcelo Meyer to move over to shortstop, and Campbell to get another chance at second base. But we'll see if that ends up actually happening.
Okay, now here's my question before we move on to the last two teams here. I want to put the Red Sox, Yankees, and Blue Jays in the same bucket. In your mind, of those three teams, which one has the best floor? Which one has the best ceiling for 2026?
I think that the Blue Jays have the best ceiling.
Okay.
And I think the Red Sox have the best floor.
Interesting. Okay. All right. That's good. That's really good. I can't say I quibble with any of that. We'll revisit that because we're going to talk about our order here in a second. But there's two other teams, Parker, two very different approaches to their off season. Very different teams. I want to save the Tampa Bay Rays for last because I think that'll be a quick one for us. But I want to jump to the Orioles, Parker. The Orioles had a mandate coming in to this off season to utilize some of their young players, supplement what they hope are good developmental jumps for those younger players with some star power. And they wanted to do that both in their offense and in the rotation. No better addition for them than Pete Alonso in the middle of that lineup, supplementing their rotation also with guys like Shane Bays, Chris Bassett, adding them to the rotation. Parker, we have given the Orioles so much shit over the last 2 years for not getting pitching and not supplementing this offense. And finally, they step up to the plate and they deliver. I don't know about you, but I'm satisfied about what they did this offseason.
Do you think they're paying Tyler O'Neill $16.5 million in AAV to be a bench bat?
That was not the plan, but I think that may be what happens, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think that's where he's at right now. He had a really good season, and I loved that season that he had for the Red Sox where he hit 30 home runs, but it doesn't, I mean, he's making his money. I just don't know how that's going to work out. The lineup as a whole, though, I mean, we get to see Gunnar Henderson put on a Team USA jersey here. The addition of Taylor Ward, Pete Alonso. This lineup is very good, but we knew that already because when you have guys like Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, Colton Cowser, Jackson Holiday broke his helmet bone, so it's going to be a while, but he'll be back, and I think he still is going to be very good offensively. We have not seen anything basically out of Basayo and Mayo, and both of them project to be very good big leaguers. Basayo's still only 21 years old. There's so much upside. There's still so much upside in this Baltimore Orioles lineup. The problem is we needed to figure out what they were going to do in terms of pitching. And in terms of pitching, what did they do this offseason? Chris Bassett. They got Chris Bassett.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I agree with you. I do agree with you. I think, was it enough at the end of the day? Probably not. No, I'm not going to say probably. It wasn't. They didn't go out and get the big guy. They didn't go out and get their Corbin Burns. They'd flirted with Framber Valdez. That didn't happen. I get all of that. I do think, much like that you say the Red Sox have the highest upside, or excuse me, the Blue Jays had the highest upside as a team a moment ago. I do think when you're looking at just the rotation, this rotation could have some sneaky upside. I don't want anyone to sleep on a Kyle Bradish because when a Kyle Bradish is healthy,
Kyle Bradish is good.
He is so good, and I challenge you to go read articles and search Kyle Bradish because if you go to sample 100 random ball players in baseball and they tell you who has the nastiest stuff, I think you'd be surprised how often they bring up Kyle Bradish as one of those
I think
guys.
so too.
Trevor Rogers in his spring training appearances, I don't know why, but when I watch spring training games this year, like there's a bunch of random guys I'm seeing a lot, and Trevor Rogers is one of them. Don't know why, but he looks like his shit just does not stink in spring training. So this is one of those, I know it's, but this is a rotation that I just think has more upside than people are giving him credit for.
I could agree with you. I think this is the Trevor Rogers has a really cool Baseball Savant page, actually. I was going to say Trevor Rogers and this whole Orioles rotation strikes me as the kind of rotation you put together when you simply don't want your rotation to be the reason you aren't competitive. You're not building a rotation that's going to be the reason you win games, but you're definitely putting together a rotation that is the reason that you're not losing them, if that makes sense.
So I'll take that out a little bit further. Is that same logic to me is the same logic that goes something like the rotation will get you through 162, but it won't get you deep into the playoffs. Same thing.
I don't think it will. Because none of those guys, maybe Kyle Bradish has a really good season.
Sure.
It's like 4.5 WAR. And then we see him in game one of a playoff series. If the Red Sox played a really good Kyle Bradish in game one of a playoff series, I'd be scared. You know, I would be like, man, thank God we have Garrett Crochet going, would be my reaction to that, because Kyle Bradish is nasty. And I think there's a lot of teams that feel that way. But none of them other than that am I like, wow, they have the upper hand today.
Those two notions are the same.
Fine.
Like, those two notions are the same. This is not a deep playoff run rotation. And this is not going to be a rotation that you lose games because of, but that you stay in games. Here's where I see an interesting scenario for the Orioles. The Orioles are one of those teams in 2026 where I'm really going to care what they're doing in May and June, because this is a team that I do believe will heavily invest at the trade deadline if they're even remotely in it. And if they do that, Parker, and they go out and still use some of their prospect capital, which they still have in abundance, for some starting pitching reinforcements at the trade deadline, this could be what tips them over the edge. And I think this is a very different conversation you and I are having.
Yeah, I know, I agree. And also, one thing that does work in their favor, I think that sneaky, this team, if they do make it to the playoffs, while you might not be super high on the rotation, I think their bullpen definitely has the juice to get them over the edge. Because if you get a Felix Bautista back sometime during the season, I don't know when, probably late, he had a torn labrum, and you get Connor Selby back, and then you already have Ryan Helsley, Andrew Kittredge, Keegan Aiken, Yennier Cano. I'm getting, not a lot of those guys are incredible relievers, but definitely guys who know how to win at a big league level. And if you can roll out a bullpen like that late in a playoff series, you're not going to be the best bullpen in the playoffs, but you'll be a pretty good one. I think if you asked which team has the highest ceiling and which team has the highest floor, I think this is the team with the highest variance.
Yeah. That's a good point. Very good point.
They could win the division. They could win the division.
They could.
Or they could finish last.
I think you're right. That is a stark reality for our Oriole fans, for sure. What about the let's move on to the Rays, Parker, because the Rays, man, they could have 10 straight losing seasons, man, and I would not count them out of anything. However, this year, with how tough the AL East is, I just don't see them as being anything other just this pesky little brother that the other teams are just going to want to push away.
Yeah, but look at the lineup. Do me a favor, just read through the lineup. Every single one of those guys is like, okay. Like, none of them are like, really? You have Gavin Lux starting for you? None of them are like that. Maybe Nick Fortes is the closest one. But like Gavin Lux, okay. Yandy Diaz, all-star. Jonathan Aranda, all-star capability. Junior Caminero will make an all-star team and maybe lead the AL East in home runs outside of Aaron Judge. He might be number 2 in the AL East in home runs. Cedric Mullins is a good ball player. Jake Fraley has his moments. Taylor Walls, definitely a good dude. Chandler Simpson is like a Jarren Duran with a worse hit tool. He's just going to steal every single base he lays his eyes on. I don't know, man. If the rotation is even slightly serviceable, then I think this team could be a last place team that has a winning record.
I just don't think they're going to look very different than they were last year. I think this is a team because of guys you point out.
That's
like
very
Yandy.
fair. They didn't make many changes.
They didn't, but also like your point, I think helps me reinforce the one I'm going to make is that guys like Yandy Diaz, Junior Caminero may still be the reason they have a positive run differential in 26, still having a losing record and being last in the division is because of that. Now, I
Rays
see
would
for
it
them
be to like make a division run on their like return tour to the Trop? How Rays would that be? Though?
It would. It totally would. Absolutely. Now, let me say this is I think that is on their mind as it should be. Much like the Athletics have been gearing for 2028, I think this team also has that in mind. And that leads me to think that with some upside guys in their rotation, and I'm thinking about guys like Drew Rasmussen, Shane McClanahan, even a Nick Martinez. Those
Shane
are trade deadline
only in his age 29 season.
Yes. And those are trade candidate deadline guys. I think what they do is the smart thing to do is to just get by in 2026, make those guy trade pieces and reinforce an offense that really, truly needs it bad. And if they can do that, the Rays are a pitching factory, not as much as the Guardians, but they have a pitching infrastructure so they can develop guys. I think they need to put more capital into their offense, and then in 1 or 2 years we're having a different conversation about them. But right now, in the aggregate, I don't love it. I don't love what they have going on.
Yeah, no, I think this is definitively a last place team.
Yes,
in the AL East. It's not a last place team in some other divisions, I don't think. Their number 5 starter is going to be Steven Matz, starting on for size. I think yet again, I want to say he's done that a couple times in his career. If there's a team that can get a lot of value out of him, I'm sure it's the Rays. I think we're going to see classic Rays ball where it's going to be like 4 innings of a starter and then every bullpen arm in the entire bullpen for the rest of the game. And that's fine. That's fine. They can do that. I like I said, I could see them. I think their ceiling is like just above a winning record, and I just think it would be cool if the AL East had every single team being a winning team this year, and I think I could see it.
I mean, Parker, last thing I'll say about the Rays is 77 wins in 4th place last year. I mean, they got to do under that, right? There's no way they're hitting that mark this year. No way.
So you think the team that got definitively worse this year, this upcoming?
I think they got worse. I think in a team in a division where you had a couple teams, I think got better, particularly the Orioles and the Red Sox. I would be surprised if the Rays surpassed 73 wins.
Really?
Yes.
I'm projecting them for 82 because I think it's fun.
Holy crap, dude. What the hell are you? Did you take some PEDs today? What are you doing?
Well, do you want to go
through the PEDs?
First of all, let's do our projected standings. Let's do our projected Speaking of PEDs, go watch our video we just recorded. It's probably out before this one. Go watch it, like, comment, subscribe. Let's do our projected standings, and then I can tell you, or I'll tell you what the Fangraphs projected standings are.
Oh my goodness! All right, So here's what I got. I'll start with this one. So my standings for the AL East, the order I'm gonna do. This is freaking wild that I'm gonna do this, but I am. Oh my god! I'm gonna do Red Sox. I'm gonna do Blue Jays. I'm going to do Orioles.
Oh!
I'm going to do...
Oh, man!
I'm going to do Yankees. I'm going to do Rays. I'll go back to what you said earlier.
Okay.
I have Red Sox, Blue Jays, Orioles, Yankees, Rays, and the Yankees fans are gonna grill me on this.
Oh yeah.
I do think I'm not high on the Yankees. I'm just not. But I do think that variance of wins and the spread is going to be very condensed for all of these teams. I don't think you're going to have a 63 game winner at the bottom. I think they're all going to be potentially between 75 and 96. I think that's a possibility.
So my prediction is first place Red Sox, Yankees, Blue Jays, Orioles, Rays. Kind of chalk with that prediction.
Yeah.
A little bit, if you accept my... There's people who will flip the Blue Jays and Red Sox. Whatever you want to do. I'm a Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the guy that didn't pick the Red Sox to win the division in a year they could totally win the division. Not going to be that guy. So let's talk about projected standings, because I think these are fascinating. The Fangraphs projected standings have the Yankees in first place.
Oh, God.
At 87 wins. This is real, by the way.
What?
I screwed this up last season. I screwed this up last episode when we did a prediction. But this is the 2026 projected full season standings. It has the Yankees at 87 and 75. It has the Blue Jays at 86 and 76, and it also have the Red Sox at 86 and 76. So Blue Jays, Red Sox tied for second place.
There is no way in hell that none of these teams are getting 90 wins. There's no way. There's no way. I would argue.
I think it's predicting them to eat each other apart. I think it's going to predict.
No, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. However, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and the Red Sox, and maybe even the Orioles in no particular order, while they're eating each other up, they will also eat up the AL West and the AL Central. So I'm not buying that none of them are getting 90 wins.
I would agree with you. I also just think that Fangraphs is super conservative in all of their predictions, and there's only one team in baseball projected for over 90 wins.
And it's the Dodgers.
It's the Dodgers, and they're projected for 96. So that worries me as to how many they're actually going to win.
What a bunch of Dodgers homers, I'll tell you. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. I mean, I will say they have the talent to win 105 games, so we'll see. But I don't really agree with Yankees winning the division. I just don't think that you can... What I think is going to have a really tough couple first months of the season. Now, that's the thing. This is the Yankees, right? They have really good first couple months of the season, and then they tail off, right? That's what they do.
Sure.
But I don't see it. Garrett Cole's not there. Rodon's not there. You have 4 really young pitchers. 2 of them you probably don't even want in your starting rotation, if not 3 of them. And if Cam Schlittler's really good, maybe you see a little bit of a difference. But it's Max Fried against the world right now.
And that is precisely why, as crazy as it sounds that I even put them in 4th, I do think there are more things working against them more now than in 25. And in 25, we started to see their warts. And I think the situation is worse for them this year. So if there was ever a time to pick a regression, I think it's now.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I can see that a lot. Do you remember which division you said was probably the worst in baseball?
The AL Central, I said.
How many teams do you think are projected to have a negative run differential in that division?
I would say 4 or 5.
4 out of the 5. Yes, it is. It is the Tigers at 41 is projected for their run differential, and then the next best team is -4 for the Royals.
That would make sense, I think. Yeah. I won't say I'm shocked
the
by
second
that.
place team is projected for 81 and 81. By the way, the Rays projected for 81 and 81.
Oh God, that is so optimistic. That's Junior Caminero putting the team on his back. Is what that is.
Junior Caminero hitting 55 bombs would get them to 81 and 81, which could happen. Which could happen.
It could.
It's nice and warm in Tampa.
Monster. It is. That's
and they get to play all their home games at normal times now. They don't have to play them all in April and all in September now.
Yeah. Then I have to sweat their asses off. They're back in the dome, baby. It's big. It's huge.
Yep. What's the situation going on with their stadium again? Like, are they
So-
getting a new one, or are they just refurbing the Trop?
No, they are getting a new one. Right now, there's a deal
Oh,
in the
right,
works
right,
about
okay.
where it is land-wise, where it's going to be. It looks like it's still going to be in the, admittingly, I don't know the
St.
finer
Pete
details,
area.
but it's still going to be in that St. Pete, Tampa area.
St. Pete area. Yeah.
Exactly. But no, they're moving forward with the new ballpark. You know me, I'm all about new ballparks. We're excited about that here.
I love it. We're hitting almost 50 minutes on the division preview, so
All right. Well, folks, we're done talking. You take it over from here. In the comments, tell us, who do you got winning the AL East here in 2026? We'll catch you next time here on Rally Cap.
I will be hydrating with your Yankee fan tears.